This time, we have Senior Offensive Assistant Travis Trickett. Questions for Travis? Greg?
So, Travis, start with your role. I guess you're sort of a jack of all trades, is sort of how Rich has
First part of
described
spring
you.
ball was, for sure.
Yeah, so-
Plug and play, right?
Yeah. Tell me what you do.
Sure. So, this is coach has got this set up like an NFL model. It's kind of like the Chiefs. You got Andy Reid, who's a head coach play caller for them. We're the same situation. Coach Rodriguez is our offense coordinator. He's our play caller. Everything we do on offense, from meetings to practice structure to how we coach our individual, everything is gone through Coach Rodriguez. And so it's my job is to make sure, as that guy that facilitates that, make sure the standards being upheld. And then so you got Coach Rodriguez, you got myself that's kind of like the floater and organizer and making sure in case we do have a coach moving, I can plug and play as well. And then you have each position has a coach, and then they have an assistant coach with them. So he's got to where, Coach Rod has always been individual attention for our players, always coaching, always trying to develop, even if you're in the game, whoever's taking the reps or whoever's not taking the reps. So this allows me to make sure, like from a situational standpoint, Coach talked about situational football. I'm emphasizing it to the entire offense. Hey, 2-minute drill, what's the scenario? So I'm really a facilitator to make sure everything that he wants done, how he wants done, is being done to that standard. So while he's calling plays, everything else is getting done to the standard that he wants it.
You've coached a little bit of everywhere,
Correct.
quarterbacks, tight ends, whatever.
Yeah. So after this past spring, coaching the running backs for that past week and a half, I've officially coached every position on offense outside offensive line. So, but as a coordinator background, I've called plays for I think 10 years or something like that. You coach everybody, just how Coach Rodriguez coaches everybody. And so in my time here before, I coached inside receivers and tight ends. And so football is relative, especially for skill positions. And so really once you are able to coach multiple positions and you spend time there in the details, it carries over to a lot of other positions, and that's also too what Coach Rodriguez's infrastructure that he has it set up. We have guys that have coached the position at elite level for a lot of years at every coaching position or played it as well at elite level for many years. So the guys are getting hit from every different angle with it. And so the way he's built the program, I think, is phenomenal for us because our guys are getting poured into all the time from many different aspects.
You just detailed, obviously, what you're doing, your job description, I think clears that up a lot for fans. But you've been an offensive coordinator as well, and that's clearly Coach Rodriguez. Is this a situation that you're comfortable with doing long term, or do you want to eventually get back to being an OC? Was there any decision there of like, I'm not going to be the OC, so that's a little bit of an ego hit? How did?
It's a great question. Great question.
It's a fair question. I know
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great question. I would say this: I've always been a dream of mine to coach here, and like when I got my first bank account, when I got my first full-time job at Sanford at $30,000 to be the inside receivers coach, tight ends coach, back in 2012, I think it was. I opened up my bank account, and one of my security passwords, it has changed since then, but it was like, what's your dream job? And it was what WVU, right? And so, and to be able to do that under my head coach that I was under when I was a student here, I mean, that you can't put a price on that. Like it's so, that's always a goal. You always want to be able to work with the guy that you came up under. And for me, like this is home. This is where I went to school. My wife went to school. It's done a lot for my family, not only myself and my family, but also Clint, my dad, and so there's this job means a lot more to myself and my family than it does the average bear. And to be able to do it for the guy that I care about and a staff of people that I care about, it's much more. There's no ego. I don't have an ego. I've never had. Coach Rodriguez will not have anybody in this building that doesn't have an ego unless it's towards the job we're doing and the product we're putting out there for Western University and for our fans. And so for me, and I know as a play caller from a football standpoint, it's always good to have that guy you can lean on from a game planning standpoint, from a calling standpoint, from an organizational standpoint that can help assist you. And that's going to be my job. I want to be Coach Rod's right-hand man of whatever he needs in whatever aspect, whether it's on game day, whether it's in prep, whether it's in recruiting and personnel decisions and all that kind of stuff. Whatever he needs me to do to help assist him with, that's what I'm going to do, right? And so I know how valuable that is from being a play caller. And to me, we're all in this thing together, and it's a blast. I'm having a blast every day because it is back. Like I'm telling you, it is like sometimes I'm like, I look at Pat and we look at each other like, man, this is like 2005 all over again sometimes, so we're having a blast and being back. But at the end of the day, we got a lot of work to do, and that's what we're doing right now.
So there was no trepidation of
Not at all. Zero. None whatsoever.
Travis, talk about growing up in a football family and how that has relates to your career. And I mean, you got your dad, Clint.
Clinton, yeah, Chance, the middle one, Chance, he's a scout now. He works with the Rams. I forgot how many years now. He's a regional scout, works his way up there. So we're all in it. We always think it's a goal to be employed at the end of each year. That's our family goal, So we're hit summer vacation. Hey, we're all employed. We're good, But especially in today's world. But growing up in a football family, you understand. Dad he never pressured us into this. He always told us to be doctors and lawyers and all that stuff. And we found out when I told him I wanted to coach my senior year of high school, because I knew that was probably going to be my route, because I was already kind of coaching in high school a little bit. I was playing a little bit, but I was really trying to help Coach McNew and those guys. So I knew I liked the itch and my way to compete, and I felt like that's where I could compete at a high level. And when I told him, he got pissed. He was mad. He ripped my ass and told, hey, you ain't riding my coattails, all that kind of stuff. So he said, if you want to help coach while you're a student here, you need to go talk to Coach Rodriguez yourself. So he didn't set it up. I had to go knock on Coach Rod's door back when I was over here and say, Coach, I want to help out, and he was great. Spent 2 years on defense, 2 years on offense. And that's really in our family where Dad was always Dad and we were kids and sons. But when he realized I found what I loved, I discovered I love to teach. I got into coaching to compete, but then I found I love to teach. And then as you stay in it, you learn that relationships is the reason what keeps you going, right? It's so much more than just competing, even though competing is what drives all of us. And so when he realized I love doing what I do, then that's when me and Dad became from dad's son to friends. And we can talk. I can talk to him every day, multiple times a day, and just talk, and some people are like, Rick Trickett, but this brought our family to that standpoint. But, we've always been fortunate and to be in some great environments growing up. You wish you could go back and relive it all over again. But we also understand the highs and we understand the lows. And there's a lot of lows in this profession. But it makes you better. 3 different high schools, 3 different, all good. You learn and you become better out of it. So. I wish it was just a hat. It was all good. It was all good.
Travis, I want to jump you back to your student assistant days here. Do you think the willingness to do anything necessary came from them? And I'm thinking back to like running the JV team against Fort Union and some of this. But I mean, you did a lot there for a student assistant. I mean, not only on the field, but sidelines and everything.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, I give credit to kids that do that nowadays because there's a lot more student assistant guys, people that help out now than back then. No one did it back then. You were a manager or you played. And so for me to kind of find that niche was really good for me. And the kids that do it nowadays, they work their tails off. I mean, they work harder than I ever dreamed of working back then. I was kind of like living the life and, one thing about our teams, we played hard, but we had a good time as well, right? And so I got to live both those worlds. And, our kids that will help us out nowadays, man, we got some young student coaches here that are going to be really good coaches down the road. But that's where I think it's the environment you come from. And I was able to be here under Coach Rodriguez and live that life and live that toughness and that team. And Coach Rod is the best I've ever been around about cultivating a team and getting guys to play for each other and for a school, not just for themselves. And to go from there, then to go to Coach Saban as a graduate assistant in 2007 and see that rebuild and only be there for the only year that he didn't win 10 games. And to see that and then go to Florida State and be under Coach Bobby Bowden and Jimbo. So I was so blessed to get in my early molding years of like all-timers, college football Hall of Famers, from the beginning to the end. And so, for me, it helped me, and being my dad's son, you have to find who you are and be who you are. And that's one thing that everyone that meets me that's either worked at Jack State with my dad or has been, met Clint or met Chance, we're all different. We're all ourselves. And we made sure, like, if these kids, they'll know if you're BSing or not. But the whole ingrainment mentality, 100%, comes from Coach Rodriguez and the culture that he instilled in this program back in the early 2000s. And everyone that you'll see comes back and talks about it. That's why everyone's so hyped for him to get the job. Everybody wanted him. There's not a former player didn't want him to get the job because they know they can look back now and know what that experience did for them as human beings, as men. And they want that for our guys coming up, and that's what they're going to get.
As the senior offensive assistant, you're dealing, as you said, with a lot of stuff on offense. Can you give some general thoughts and on the offense so far through this part of spring ball? Any concerns maybe about depth like Coach Rodriguez has, or any facets or position groups that are
Sure.
really standing out?
Everything Coach Rodriguez has said up to this point is pretty much on par. I agree with everything that he's said in these pressers with you guys. Right now our goal, number one goal this entire spring, our number one mission is a mentality installation. It's installing Coach Rodriguez's mentality in every facet of everything that we do. How we meet, how we attend meetings, how we attack the meetings, how we attack the weight room, how we attack on the field, in between drills. The number one goal, and that's the number one goal, is installation of the mentality of how we're going to play. And you've heard them 1,000 times. We're going to play hard, right? We're going to have that relentless mentality. That's our number one goal. Our second goal of spring right now is evaluation. And I know he's talked about that and this new rule that they got coming down. It's about this, the critical piece of evaluation. Guys in your program, and then in recruiting guys that you want to bring into your program, and then in 2 weeks we got to look at maybe older guys, portal wise, and we got to evaluate those. So it's the evaluation aspect's the second goal right now for spring. So the X's and O's, they'll all come. Like, everyone's got X's and O's, and Coach Rodriguez, we'll get that piece of it. He's great. He's been phenomenal at that. But right now it's mentality and evaluation.
The main focus being installing the mentality. How do you feel the culture is settling in, especially on the offensive side of the ball?
We got great kids. They've done a great job of recruiting great human beings to this program. That's never been an issue. So they want to please you. They want to do right. But sometimes they think they're trying their best, and they don't know what their best is. And we've got to push them to make sure they realize, look, dude, you got another layer to you can get to. Whether it's a straining physical thing, whether it's a mental thing. That's right now we're showing them how far they can go past what they think they can. I think Rodney came up here and spoke about that Gallagher when he spoke a few days ago. So that's our mentality right now, is just really trying to and the ones that do well, and we identify that, we point that out, it's look, that's the standard. That's what we want every play. Because we don't want to show, Coach Rodriguez has not shown hardly any clips of where he was before, because he wants the guys to use examples for here, so.
You talked, oh, go ahead.
Rich was talking about this kind of at the end of his, about being at North Marion and the toughness that he learned. Of course, your dad, you've been involved in this. Just speak to that. He almost talks about it like it's a talent, the toughness of playing in this program and in this system. Just speak to that a little bit.
It's a trait. It's a learned trait, in my opinion. And you either have toughness or it's got to be forged. And forged happens through what? Intense heat, pressure, whatever it may be. And so the ones that we identify have it, we push as far as we can, make sure we use them as example, put them on a pedestal, and show this is what we're looking for. And the ones that don't have it, we're forging right now. And not everyone talks about toughness in every program. Everyone talks about culture, toughness, those words are words in every head coach that gets a job, every program. They all say the same stuff, but it shows up when you turn on the tape. And when you watch a Coach Rodriguez offense, there is a specific way they play. It is an attacking every snap, first quarter to third quarter to fourth quarter. It is a relentless getting after your ass mentality, and it's tangible. You can see it and grade it and watch it on tape. And so to me, that is, everyone talks about, but not everybody lives it 24/7, 365. And that's actually some of us coaches were talking about. I think it was me, Coach Bignell, and Coach Porter, about how Coach Rodriguez he is the best I've ever been around, about the relentless pursuit of that standard and never wavering whatsoever. And some people are yeah, I thought that was right. It is always something else better you can do. And not everybody lives that way. And I guess that would be, I think.
Did your dad get drawn to that from that style, or did it
Probably.
develop together?
Probably.
They've been together a long time.
They have, and there was a lot of familiarity when, Coach Rod got the job. We were down at LSU, and, there's a tie between Coach Rodriguez and my dad, not only with Coach Tommy Bowden, where Coach Rodriguez was with, but also Glenville, and the Glenville State experience with Coach Rodriguez being there, Ike Morris, and, being one of my dad's best friends, and then being a really good friend and best friends with the Rodriguez family. And so when the West Virginia opportunity came up, we were in Glenville, went to LSU, and we just got down to LSU. And then when that thing came up, he asked us, like, I hate to do it to you, because this has been my third high school in 3 years. He said, but this came up. I get to go be around my mom, who was in Preston County, his mom, my grandma, and all that. And I was like, no brainer, let's go. Our whole family was on board. So it was one of those things where there was a tie, and it's just like, West Virginians that have a hard edge, like they kind of cling to each other and follow each other. And so, it was like-minded individuals always seemed to flock together and stay together, and I think that was a perfect example of that.
So we're getting a lot about you coaching the players that are here. How much are you going to be involved in the transfer portal recruiting? Are you going to be in those meetings to say we need this position, we need this player, or is that more the position coaches and Coach Rod?
It's everything. Like, it's that flow of, like, the position coaches. We'll sit down. They'll tell me who they like. We'll sit down. I'll watch it with them, and then we'll go get with Coach Rod and present to Coach Rod. Hey, these are the guys that we feel can play for us, and then Coach Rodriguez ultimately has the final yes, final no.
And your hands, I guess, would even be more involved in more positions than, say, Coach Porter, who's just talking
Yeah,
about.
I've watched every position. I've watched every high school recruit that's on the board and that's not on the board, every portal guy that, we watched before, the guys that were here. So but I love that organizational piece. I love that kind of stuff. I love the evaluation piece along with the game planning piece and the competition piece. So it's something that I feel like I can really help Coach Rodriguez in that standpoint.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.